And welcome back to We Are the People. This is your host, Jason Preston, with my beautiful bride.
You can't say that.
Oh, that's right. We got in trouble. Someone in the comments said it's, what did they say?
They said it was offensive or derogatory.
Derogatory for me to call her my beautiful bride or babe. I'm not supposed to call you babe anymore.
Okay, babe.
I'm here with my lovely wife. Is that okay? Alexia, welcome back.
It's good to be here. Yeah. It's nice to do a lighter show.
Yes.
Kind of. Yeah.
So we've obviously dropped, and this is real time. Today is the 6th. We just barely dropped the show with Michelle.
Of November.
And so it has been just dropping story after story after story. And, you know, we've been seeing in the questions or in the comments a lot of questions. And we thought, you know what, let's pause and let's take a time to go and answer people's questions, because you guys have a lot of legitimate questions and we want to make sure that you're heard. And we appreciate the questions. We appreciate all the sincere. In fact, I've been blown away by your guys' support.
Yeah, it's been tremendous.
Yeah, it's been awesome, because this was something we knew it was the right thing to do. We knew we had to do it, but it was really terrifying because, you know, we realized how many people we would lose, and we realized the cost of doing it. And we appreciate you for standing with us. And honestly, I just believe that God is waking up this country and waking up this state. And this is not our fight, it's his. And I think he's just pricking people's hearts and opening people's eyes. And so we want to be as effective as we possibly can in doing our part. And so today's gonna be fun and interesting. And so we're gonna be answering a lot of those questions. And at the end, we're gonna share a very wild, this is what we deal with. And we told you one of the things that we know that they will do is try to defame us and try to, you know, destroy our reputation. And there's some rumors going around about us, about Alexia, that we will share with you at the end. And I think you'll find that pretty wild, because we sure do.
Yeah, I actually quite enjoy it.
Well, let's get into it, though.
So I think a good question to start with, just to frame everything up, is how did we get started in all of this? Because I think there are a lot of people that are new to our channel. Some people that might have known us from your congressional run. So I think, you know, one of the first questions, just to paint the broader picture, is how did you, because you were actually the first one that got involved with this, how did we get into the realm of SRA and understanding the ties to it in this state?
Okay. Can I answer that by also using that to answer another question?
Yes.
Okay, because another question, it's ours, but another question I get from a lot of people is, how can I help? What can I do? We get that all the time. And I think it's relevant because, you know, we talked about in the last show about this problem with this cult mentality. And I think that's, again, it's obviously a problem with where we live in this culture here in Utah, but it's a problem across the country as countries devolve, you know, fall apart, as character and people's as people's character crumbles, as people's morals crumble, we begin to look outside ourselves for help, look outside ourselves for leadership. And I think that's especially a problem, like I said, in this state where we've been groomed to have someone give you a calling, have someone, you know, be elected to office, where we look for outside validation to tell us what to do. And so coming back to what can I do to help, I want to be very careful that I am not here and we're not here to try to lead you or lead anybody through what's coming. I believe that the only way to survive what is coming is for people to have their own compass, their own light, be able to be in tune with God. And, you know, personally, so when people reach out to me, you know, in fact, this is what I said to in one of the comments. I said, I don't take orders from anyone but God. I promise you, he needs soldiers. You should be directing your question to him. You are anointed. And where does your authority come from? A calling from church leaders? Does your anointing come from being elected by corrupt government systems? No, it comes from God. And so I think, you know, to me, it's very important as people say, well, how can I help? What can I do? It's important God sent you to it for such time as this, you need to go to him and find that anointing and let him guide you and trust him. And that ties into how did we get here? We never had any intention. If you would have asked us a year ago if we'd be doing this, we would have said, no way. In fact, our story begins, as being a couple of, a very troubled couple in Florida that had, that's with a lot of problems and a lot of issues that I'm sure will be drug up. Some of that stuff's going to get probably drug up later today in our show we'll talk about. But for me, it was one day as I began putting my life in order, I felt a very strong call to run for office, to run for Congress. And it was crazy. It made no sense. Someone who has had, the history I have, all the problems I have. I mean, it's public. What business did I have running for office? But I didn't go ask somebody for permission. I realized that came from God, and I stood into it. And when that got over, the right path, according to man, would have been, okay, Jason, you guys did really well. Run again. But we felt very called that, no, we need to get involved in culture. And we need to get involved in educating people. Nobody told us what to do, but we felt called to do that. And so we started a podcast.
Yeah, we always said during the campaign, politics is downstream from culture.
Right.
Yeah.
And then after we started doing this, someone brought us this content with the ritual stuff. And I will tell you, the first time it came to us, I said, it's baloney. I don't trust it. I didn't believe it.
Yeah, you wouldn't even bring it to me.
Yeah, I didn't believe it. Wasn't going to go down that road. We thought it was political garbage. Well, then someone really pushed me to sit down and read the victim statements. The Hamblin victim statements. And once I read those, my heart told me that was real. And so we did a show on that. And
but it took about 8 months to a year to even get from you reading the Hamblin victim statements to us filming the show.
Right. Right. And then slowly, our path has led us here. So it's, again, what really got us here was getting sued. Because once we got sued, it was like, if we're going to take on this lawsuit, because what happened is we put out that first show and it started getting traction, Shadows of Power. And we got a cease and desist letters that if you do not take it down, we're going to sue you.
So we were at a crossroads and we said, okay, either we really evaluate and say, okay, that's not worth the fight. We'll just take it down and bow out and stay in the political lane. Or it's what we did. We dug deeper and we said, you know what? There's a lot more here. So we doubled down because we really, truly believe this is happening. Yeah.
And honestly, it was something that we very much felt called, that it was it was very clear that it was the right thing, even though it was, crazy to walk into a lawsuit. So again, that's how we got here. We never looked for this path, especially now that we're in the realm of the stuff with the church. Like our whole thing has always been political, and it's just, again, it's following that compass. So, so to those of you who say, what can I do? I'm here to tell you, don't ask me that, and don't go asking your neighborhood. Go ask God, because I promise you, He needs warriors and He needs you. And nobody can tell you what you and God committed and contracted to do before you came to this earth, but Him. And so I would highly encourage you to spend time fasting and find what your purpose is, because I can promise you this: God needs warriors and He needs you. And we have to get out of this mentality that someone else gives us calling, someone else gives us authority, or we have to be elected by the people. No, your anointing comes from God, and that is where you need to stand.
Yeah. I think that sets the stage pretty well for how we got involved. So I think probably one of the most often asked questions is, especially this last month, we've had a lot of survivors come forward with their story. And I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, how do we know they're true? How do we know that this is valid, that this isn't some sort of infiltration? Because one bad story can take this whole thing down. Yeah. One person with ill intent can kill it for 99% of the rest of it. So what is the process, and how do we know when we put things out that it is true to the extent that we can validate it?
So I appreciate you guys for asking that question. I think it's a very good question. Had several people, like Alexia said, concerned about us. What they don't realize is that we have a team of researchers. when the process people go through is they don't come directly to me. They send an email to abuse@wearethepeople.org, and that goes to our team of researchers who have been doing this a lot longer than us. And I will just say this. They have interviewed hundreds of survivors. This world is so nuanced. I mean, this year when Alexia and I started digging in and started listening to survivors, honestly, there were so many nights we couldn't sleep. It was like, how can this be real? First off, I'll tell you this: if you think you can bluff your way through, I'd love to see you even send an email, see how far you get with our team, because the nuances, the patterns, this is organized. It's not. If there's someone who has one-off abuse just in their family, satanic abuse, and that is completely different than the LDS Church of Satan, which is very organized, very systematic. And there's another thing I'll tell you this, because we actually talked about bringing one of our researchers on this to talk about this, and what the team just said is we cannot come on, because if we come on and share the details of how we go about our process and we share our secret sauce, the enemy would know how we're tracking them. And they would change patterns and they would do things. So there's much I will not say, but what I will say is this. When one of these survivors comes and talks to one of our researchers and they start to vet them and they hear their story, they'll start asking about where abuse happened and who was involved. And of course, anybody could come on and name some big name that we all know. But what they start doing is saying, where did it happen? Who was involved? And they start to plot it out, the names. And they almost throw out the big names. Of course, they listen and they write it, but it's the little names. It's the names nobody knows. Well, then what happens is they put this plot and they got this second counselor here, and they've got this neighbor here in this neighborhood. Well, a few months later, they get another survivor who all of a sudden names that same second counselor. And then they name this same neighbor in this same neighborhood. Well, then they have another survivor who names that second counselor's uncle. And what I can tell you is they have a mind map now that after interviewing hundreds of survivors, that is absolutely. In fact, I will tell you this. Now when we have a survivor and they start naming names that most of us have never heard of, we find out very quick that. So, anyways, I will say that the people who make it to this show also are comfortable. Most are never comfortable coming on here and talking. They just want to share their story and be heard. But the ones who finally make it here, they've spent hours with our researchers, and I completely trust by the time they get to us that they are legitimate.
And the floodgates are open. Each show that we do, it might trigger a memory for someone, or it might piece together. I mean, even in our immediate political and social circles, we have validating conversations all the time saying, oh, I knew so-and-so from years ago, and my best friend was her best friend and was in the tunnels with her, or something like that. We try to give trigger warnings. We try not to be so graphic in the shows, but inadvertently, it's going to happen. There's something that's going to provoke a memory if this has happened. And as we know, you can't throw a rock in this state without hitting someone that it affects. Undoubtedly, it's going to affect a lot of people and a lot of our viewers. And just like we have researchers on the political shows, our Chelseas of the world, we have another great team of researchers on this side and that have put together these mind maps. So as it relates to the mind map and the researchers, is there any type of protection in place or kill switch? I know people have asked that, like if something were to happen to us, is there information that's out there that will potentially be protected?
Yeah. I mean, I will just say this. Yes, that's probably all that people need to know.
Okay. I also should mention that the order of the shows is important, that I think you've done a very good job weaving together a storyline, especially with the survivor stories. The first show where we had to protect the identity of the survivor, And then people ask, well, why are we protecting people? They should come forward. There's no reason to be anonymous. Even when we've had Tyler on the show in the past, people have questioned why do we need AI people on the shows?
Well, they're not they're not AI, but
yeah, and that's another frequently asked question. They are not AI. So
but
why
we protect but look, I think as we continue these shows, you start to realize how real this is and how dangerous this is and how scared people are. And so our first priority is the survivors, is the victims, and making sure they feel safe, making sure our researchers feel safe. There's a lot at stake at what we're doing. We are calling out, and even who we have not called out, we know who these people are. And I will tell you, this is the financial and power structure of this state that is involved with this. This is not a small fringe group of people in the state. It is the foundation of the state. And many of these survivors know that, and they are terrified, especially as you hear their stories and you see what's happened to so many survivors that did not survive.
Well, that brings me to the next question. Why won't they give names?
Okay, so we get that so much. Why don't give names? Give names. Give names. We are ready to give names. We have for a while kind of been slow to get there because we're trying to slow walk the audience into this. This is a very nuanced, very dark, very hard to wrap your mind around world. And it's our mission is not just been to get out and throw out names and throw up on people. It is to slowly walk people into a world that is almost unbelievable. And to your credit, we have been able to do that rather quickly, especially the last few months. But I'm not here to pressure. Again, our first priority is our survivors' safety. And if they do not feel comfortable, I will never pressure one of them to give names. When they are ready, and we have, in fact, the next show that gets released after this, we'll be naming, we've already filmed it, we'll be naming a few well-known names in this state. That person is comfortable doing it. And so we are thankful for them, and we will have them do that. So as survivors are comfortable naming names, we will name them. But here's the thing. This is not our fight. This is God's fight. He's going to win. He will expose this. And it doesn't even need to be us. He will shine the light on these people. And I can tell you this structure that is here in this state that is running this, we know who they are. And I can promise you at some point, God will shine the light on them and they will come down.
So let's get into a little bit more about the survivors and some of the questions around that. One of the questions that's come up quite a bit has been about false memories and implanted memories by therapists. How have we been able to distinguish between real stories, real accounts, opinions, and false memories?
Okay. I'm going to actually throw that back at you. Because we did a show on this, and to our listeners who are not aware, we have done a show on this where we brought a therapist. And I'll ask you, Alexia, where does the false memory, which we all talk about, and everyone's so concerned because of false memory syndrome, very important term. Here's my question for you. Where did it come from?
Yeah, it's the same group that created the Satanic Panic.
Specifically, where did it come from?
From those trying to debunk.
It came from a couple. It came from a couple whose daughters were involved in ritual abuse, and their daughters outed the parents. The parents are the ones who came up with the term to protect their own identity. And if you go back to one of our shows, I'll put it up on the screen so I forget the name of it, but we have a therapist who, again, was, for her safety, wanted her identity protected, who went through, and in that show, we break down where false memory syndrome came from, and it is baloney. It's baloney. It came from a couple whose kids were involved in ritual abuse, who accused their parents, and their parents are the ones that came up with it. It is absolutely baloney. False memory is baloney. Alexia has memories in her past that she does not remember. That is one of the gifts. Traumatic abuse, you will forget. But through healing and through usually when you feel safe, those memories come back. And so for those of you, false memory, that's baloney. And I would encourage you to go back and watch that video.
And I'd say the same thing. I don't know how many requests you've seen through the emails, but I've heard recently a few people asking about psychedelics and memories that are triggered through use of drugs and other forms. And Do you have any type of strategy for?
No, look. Can someone come up with and create a false memory? Absolutely. But can someone come up and have a false memory and name this same person that's been named 5 times, this person who's been named and that no one else knows, this same person, and understand this complete crazy network? No. Yeah. No. So as far as within the LDS Church of Satan, and again, their structure is their power. It is why the LDS Church of Satan is so powerful. It is a global powerhouse. It is not some small little fringe group in Utah. It is a global powerhouse. They are very involved in the United Nations. They are very involved with the global tyranny that is coming. And their power comes from their organizational structure. And their organizational structure is an exact inverse reflection of the LDS Church itself. And so that also becomes its weakness, because there is a structure, there is patterns that are, once you understand this world, become very easy to identify. And again, some things, we do not want to share too much, because most of these people have no idea how much we know. Or our researchers know. I want to do a question here.
Okay.
I'm going to I'll do this one. I'm actually going to read straight from straight from YouTube. This is by John Connor. That blue and gold ring on your right hand.
Wait, I want to do the personal questions at the end.
No. I'm ready for this one. Let's mix it up. I get to choose one. That blue and gold ring on your right hand. I saw it yesterday in your video. Freemason? River brags about being a high priestess and said she was still practicing occult rituals off camera a year ago, but she's only a victim on camera. For everyone in the comments, these people are in it. These people were victims, yes, but they are still perpetrators as well. I'm guessing this channel is to track and hunt down anyone who opposes them by supporting this cause. It's called controlled opposition. Erica Kirk is a good example of who these people are. And by the way, I will say this. I know it's not popular, but I don't disagree with his comment about Eric Kirk. And that's a whole other question, or a whole other comment that we're not going to get down. And then you have a bunch of people that go on and agree.
So I'll let you first tell the story about the ring, and then I'll tell a little anecdote about that ring too.
So here's the ring. Let's see if we can get it on camera. All right. Daniel, is that good? Can you see it?
You could do a picture close up, I'm sure, later.
That is, and this is my other ring right here.
Our wedding ring.
Our wedding ring. This is a ring I got for the work I do at National Write Your Congressman. It's a legislative organization. That is a pen, because the pen is mightier than the sword. NWC for National Write Your Congressman. On the side, it says diligence, discipline, integrity, and then Preston.
It says your name on it.
Yeah. And then it says God, family, country. So, again, I mean, look. And then this is a compass, my wedding ring. And the reason I got a compass is because of everything we've been talking about.
And can I also just say this is a brass ring, and your finger has slowly been turning green. It's like a $60 ring, and I don't think it will. But
when we were married, I was broke AF.
I mean, we were both.
We were both broke, and you know what? Even though it's a cheap ring, it's still it's meaningful to me, because that's who we were, and it's where we came from.
You went down and did some boxing one day, and I think you couldn't get your ring off your finger, and you wound up jamming your finger pretty good. But yeah, that finger will be green forever. I have a funny story about this ring, though. This ring you've had quite some time, even before we were married, and we were in the jungles of Costa Rica and hit some sort of checkpoint. And I speak some Spanish. Jason is pretty hopeless in Spanish, but I still love you.
Appreciate that. You love me even though I don't speak Spanish.
So they apparently thought we were some really wealthy Americans, because we were driving a Kia in the mountainside over there. So they thought we must be mules or something.
Smuggling drugs.
So they're getting ready to rip off the bumper of the car looking for things. And they actually take note of Jason's ring. And they think that he's a MMA fighter, a famous MMA fighter. So instead of it becoming like an inquisition, they all just wanted to know like what type of like famous athlete Jason was.
That was back when I was jacked.
Yeah.
Before running for Congress.
You're still pretty jacked. You might not know Spanish, but you still kept the muscles. But yeah, that's been our running joke, because that ring apparently, I don't know if that gets us in more trouble or out of trouble.
Well, it used to get us out of trouble. Now it gets us in trouble, apparently, because now I'm a Mason.
And then for the record, we were not smuggling drugs. I feel like I have to be explicit with that because there's someone that might be out there thinking we're...
So I do want to, this was the response I sent to the individuals, particularly about River and some of our survivors. The fact of the matter is, to me, this is very important, is there is no such thing as good people and bad people. And I sent this. This is a quote from Alexander Solzhenitsyn. If only it were all so simple. If only there were evil people somewhere insidiously committing evil deeds, and it were necessary only to separate them from the rest of us and destroy them. But the line dividing good and evil cuts through the heart of every human being. It says, my friend, there is good and evil in all of us, in you, me, and River. That is the most important battle we can fight. I see the light in these survivors, and I nurture it, and I fight for them, and I fight with them. To understand the fight we are fighting is to understand this principle. All of us can fall. There was only one perfect man. I pray God's grace can keep me in this fight and get me through what is coming. No one should hang their faith on me or any of our guests. And if the enemy is able to take me out, I know God has others who will continue the charge until he wins and reigns victoriously. My greatest enemy is not Cox or any of these Satanists. It is the enemy within. It is my own weakness. That is the most important fight I deal with. And if I lose the war within, I will lose the war without. King David understood this principle well. So as River said in the comment above, let us as broken, divided individuals choose to stand together against the darkness within each of us and the organized forces of evil that are ruling over the state and the world and preying on the most innocent among us. And if and when the soldier at our left is taken down, let us strive to help them back up and continue the battle, because there is only one leader who we can rely on, and that is Christ. And that's my answer to that question.
Yeah. So I guess related to that, even though I still have some more survivor questions, is this a Masonic ring? Are you and or your mother? Or...
well, let's bring that. That's a whole other question about my mom. So let's bring that with that question.
Okay. Back to the survivors. We have a lot of people coming forward, whether they've been on our show or not, or if they're having memories. And people have been asking us for resources, therapists, things that we can recommend. Do we have anything that we can offer some of our viewers or some of the survivors that come forward to us?
Yeah, it's a difficult thing because it's a real need. And I will tell you that's first off, that's not our lane. Our lane is very clear. We are trying to expose and take down this insidious organization here in this state. But I will tell you this, I do know some individuals who are working very hard at putting something like that together and working on that. And there are good therapists out there. And that is something that at some point soon we will be promoting and trying to direct people to some options. But currently, no, but there are some good people out there, and it's something we need to help.
Sure. So with the survivors that have come forward that still are active in the church, people have been asking, even though this really isn't a question for us, how those survivors or victims have been able to stay active in the church.
Yeah, that's we get a lot of questions about faith, about my faith. I get people saying, Jason, here you are talking about this stuff and exposing corruption in the church, and yet you still go to church. We have people who say, well, you cannot be a survivor and be fully healed if you're still going to the church. My simple answer is this. Who are you to assume you have, the cornerstone on the market on truth? That's something that actually really frustrates me, is when people get on there and start attacking people in their faith. And I don't care if it's people attacking people in the LDS faith or people in the LDS faith attacking people who, we're attacked on both sides. We get people in the church attacking us for attacking the church. We get people outside the church attacking us for our my belief in the church. Look, I'm not God, and neither are any of you. And as far as I know, there's thousands of religions because no one seems to be able to agree on this. But what I can tell you is this. I don't think it's any of our place to judge anyone. And I don't judge people who have a deep hate for the church. Because guess what? I can see where they're coming from, especially people who have been abused by people in the church. I can understand, and I sympathize with them. Same time, I can sympathize with people in the church who have no tolerance for me and what I'm doing, because I used to be that way. And I think what really we should be doing, and I hope on this channel and in our community, we can start standing together as warriors under one banner, which is Jesus Christ, and exposing those people who are doing these horrific things to children, doing these things and fighting against it. And I don't care. In fact, if we go, our thing right now is we go every other week. 1 week we go to an LDS church. The other one, usually we go to Awaken. Great people there. And I will tell you the people at Awaken Church, and I'll tell you the pastors there, Matt and Lauren Tuggle, are inspired by God. I know for a fact God brought them here because so many people are falling away and looking for, they need to find some form of Christianity, and they are doing a phenomenal job. And when we go and worship with them while some of it's a little bit out of my comfort zone, and I don't get into the whole, some of it's a little bit, I don't do the hands up stuff, but I love them, and I love the people there, and I love their faith. And I think that's where we've got to be as far as the church thing goes. I would love to see a lot less people attacking each other based on their views because none of us have walked through another person's shoes. And as far as I know, no one has the cornerstone on truth. And to me, the important thing is, are they fighting the fight? And if so, I don't care what religion you're in. I don't care if, like, some of our guests just have thrown out Christianity altogether. And I can understand that too, because when you have these people come on pretending to be Jesus Christ and then rape and sodomize them, and these kids are terrified of Christ, I can understand why they've rejected that. But what I can tell you is this: there is an evil in this state that is preying on our children, that is trying to destroy the foundation of everything good in this state, and we need everyone we can to stand and fight against that evil. And I do not care if you believe things a little bit different than me, but if you are willing to stand next to me and expose this evil and fight against it and show up, we need you in the fight. So I would love to see less of this in the comments, tearing each other down because of people's faith. And if they don't agree with you, yes, there's corruption in the church. Yes, there is. And I can understand why people are frustrated with what's going on in the church. But if my heart, I will say this, do you know what's gotten me here in this fight? It is my faith in God, and it's trying to follow him and trying to follow that light within, that compass we talk about, which is not being in a cult. Even though there are a lot of members in my church that are absolutely caught in the cult mindset of just follow, independent of what personal revelation tells them, you can be a member of the church and not be a part of a cult. Because just like you can be in MAGA and believe in Trump and not be a member of the MAGA cult. You are a cult when you can't think for yourself. You're a cult when everything your leader does is right and you don't question him. You can support a leader and not be in a cult if you're free to question and think for yourself and challenge certain things. And so, look, following my inner light has brought us to this fight. It's what took us to run for Congress. It's what has directed my entire path. And part of my inner light is tied to the gospel of Jesus Christ. And whether you like it or not, I don't care. Because I'm not here for a popularity contest. My wife's not here for a popularity contest. We're being sued. You're going to find out some of the slander that's been coming at us. We are doing this because our hearts and our compass has directed us here. And so for someone to say, well, your compass is wrong, and you shouldn't be in the church, who are you to judge? Yeah. And if that's where you are, I think you're on the wrong channel, because we're fighting against very real evil. And the last thing we need is people judging each other on their faith. Yeah. Hey guys, just a quick little message. I want to thank you for all of your support. This fight means the world to us. There is nothing more important, and there is no cost we will not pay to fight it. One of the things that allows us to fight, especially with the lawsuit, we do have to have funding, and we have partnered with Sentry H2O. We partner with them because I absolutely believe in what they do, and I believe it is necessary. We've talked about how toxic the water is in this state. There is a reason we have the health issues that we have in this state. The people struggling with gender, all these issues that are coming up right now with the low testosterone, what's in the water, the pharmaceuticals that are being found in the water. Sentry H2O filters all of that out, but leaves the minerals which are designed your body needs. If you don't have a water system, please look into it. Check it out. They have a whole house system, but they also have something for those of you who can't afford it, just simply an under the sink RO unit that is just a little over $300, especially when you use our code, We Are the People. If it's something you're interested in, please go to our website, wearethepeople.org, click on Wellness, and then scroll down. You'll see the options, and make sure you put in We Are the People for your 10% discount. This is how we're funding our fight and also trying to make a difference at the same time. So thank you for all your support. Thank you for fighting with us. We believe in you. We believe this matters. There's nothing more important than the fight for freedom, and we're just thankful for everything all of you do to help us in the fight. God bless you, and we'll get back to the show.
So yeah, no, it's just one of those things where I think we could really care less whether or not people like us or not. It's more about just getting the message out there. Yeah. So, but while we're talking about divisiveness, this has come up a lot, and I don't know if it's so much of a question as more just a talking point about the division within the church and attacking one another. So maybe just want to touch on some of that division. Because I
think that's it. I think we just hit it.
Okay.
I think we've talked about it. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to share any stories about anyone that's tried to infiltrate? Is there any good? I don't get a lot of visibility to the abuse hotline, but
are we infiltrated? Is that the question? Do we get? Yes.
And any stories about what that looked like and how we knew they were an infiltrator?
Well, I will tell you this. We have had many people infiltrate, get on the abuse, but I will tell you this: they get usually caught. We have had someone who actually was we do have people who actually are victims and still perpetrators that get through to us because they do know they know enough to get through. And I'll say that we've had someone even come in. Yes, we've had some get very close to us.
Wow. This one is from Facebook. I'd like to see more connections between the church and government SRA, mostly because I have memories of both. So what have you seen between the connections of the church and government SRA? Or is
it's the same, right? In Utah, it is the LDS Church of Satan that is, for the most part, also running our government. Now, there are also people that are very high up in this state that are not part of the LDS Church of Satan, but there are other organizations like Masons and CIA, but for the most part, what runs this state is the LDS Church of Satan, and we will bring out names as we are ready.
I think that handles most of the survivor questions, so I'll get into some of the more personal questions now. How can you still be a member of the church? Are you mind controlled? But then we also get you're evil for calling out the church.
Yeah, I think we addressed that. I mean, look, mind control is very real. But when you are able to question, the narrative, when you're able to step back, I mean, if we were mind controlled, I'm pretty sure we would not be at this point questioning all these things. So I think there are a lot of people in the church and in this state and in this country who are mind controlled. I think it's very real. We've done a show on that in the past. But we're all lost to a degree. Like, it's not that I'm beginning, and I think that's an important thing is I'm sure that there's elements of each of us, all of us, that are wrong, right? No one's like, I don't know all truth. But I don't know, I feel like we've hit that.
Okay. All right. Last few questions. Are you a Mason?
We've hit that.
Well, you said you wanted
there's a question. There's an actual question on that. And that comes down to
your mother, like
that whole. Do you want to read that whole story, or that's the last one? I want to add one question here that we didn't address in the show that came up, and I wanted to bring it up here. So the question is that we hear from you is, why don't these guys more people to report this to the police? And so I'm going to read you the response. Actually, I'm going to read you straight from a letter we got from a survivor recently. I think that'll help answer this question for you guys. Okay, I'm going to answer that question by reading an email here. I'm not going to tell you who it's from, but it's from a survivor. And the survivor says, we survivors of SRA, especially ones like me, don't report because of many reasons. Not just because of people that don't believe, but because the cult has many of their members placed strategically in several places in the law enforcement agencies. The Sandy City PD, when I was growing up, the other agencies around, the political offices, whenever I tried to report anything or got a rape kit done, something bad would happen. And now the crime victim services won't even pay an ER bill of mine for a rape kit and labs. The inner world, they spent hours programming and conditioning me, splitting me off into other parts/personalities that they can trigger up with many different tricks. Littles, which is personalities, who take treats and bribes to tattle if we share with anyone. The ones who feel they have to be loyal to them or be punished. There's things they program like whistles, words, looks, threats that would either trigger a personality up or make new ones. Then there's death and suicide triggers. So, I mean, we can go on with the email, but bottom line is, yes, this is why so many survivors are afraid to report. One is, again, you look at Michelle, with the video we did with Michelle, how many times she went, and every time she went, it's clear that there was people there blocking and preventing her from having any justice. So they see that. I mean, look at David Hamblin, look at Epstein and the Epstein list. I mean, why would these survivors want to come forward when they know there's been no justice? And then, like she said, there's internal mechanisms. And this is something that's a little more complex than most of our listeners may not grasp, but again, we talk about how they fracture and create personalities. One of them is almost always a sexual deviant. But one of them is a reporter side that reports on everything. When that person is conscious, their handler will call them, call them or have them come and report on everything they're doing consciously. And I can tell you example after example we've experienced. And then they also have a program aside to suicide or to if they start to come and talk, there's a program and then that is inside them to take their own life. So I know this is hard for people to get their head around, and trust me, it's been hard for us to get our head around it. But this is the war we're fighting, and so hopefully that helps answer that question.
I think we're pretty much towards the end of the questions that we have. And if there are any more questions, we're happy to address them on subsequent shows, and you can always put those down in the comments. We do try to read them and address them as things come in.
I'll read this last one. Okay, so we're going to the last one. So this is one that's, ever since running for office, we've had a lot of people try to discredit us, and there's been a lot of attempts made, And there's been a few, but this one is now going around, and we've now heard it from a few different people. And so I'm going to read this. This actually came from someone who is a very strong supporter of ours. That this has been going around. Some actually, not only in our own circles. So Jason, there's been all kinds of stuff going around. People saying Alexia used to be a man named Luke Gordon, who died in a ski accident back in 2005. This man was supposedly a friend of yours, and now is your wife. Did Luke fake his death to become Alexia? Even rumors that you and your mom are involved in Freemasonry, which could potentially make sense why you had River on the show, who supports the LGBT community. Can you clear the air and tell us what's really going on?
I don't even know where to start with this one. So, first of all, I don't even know any of these people. Second of all,
I've got photos, by the way.
I did want to start with something, and I'm trying to remember where I wanted to go with this.
All right, well, let's start with this. Here's the obituary of this supposed good friend of mine, who I have no idea who he is, Luke, in 2005, who faked his death. And
faked?
No. This is his obituary.
He legitimately
But what they're
died.
saying is he faked his death. So this is Luke.
This poor guy's family.
Yeah, so this is Luke. We'll put it on the screen.
I will say I have been victim of some sexual abuse in my past, and I did change my name legally, but I was never a man. And
what year did you change your name?
I was 16 years old.
What year was that?
So it was in the 90s. Yeah.
Oh, so that doesn't match date.
It doesn't even match. Yeah. But I'm still trying to recollect those memories.
I mean, yeah. I mean, here's the ridiculous thing. I mean, come on, guys. Like, can you really not come up with a better thing than this? I mean, how hard is that to debunk? And so that's what's ridiculous.
And without,
I mean, we could look at pictures of Alexia every year from the time she was born.
Let's not do that. And without going to TMI, but my husband and I have a very close, intimate relationship, and I think he would know if all my inner workings were reassigned.
I don't like dudes. I'm sorry. And that's a funny thing, too. You go look at all our old shows. We're always calling out the LGBT stuff, calling out the church for being so woke. And now all of a sudden, apparently, I'm trying to promote it. So, I mean, and then here's the thing. They're passing around this picture of my mom. Here it is. My dear, sweet mom, who's, I don't know what you call this, but they're circled. And apparently, they're saying she's a Mason because of the way her hand is. And I'm a Mason because of my work ring. So, I mean, look, I mean, this is just the ridiculousness of all this.
But the point of it is to discredit the message. I mean, it's like, get distracted by things that don't matter, create the chatter. I mean, the same thing with the Charlie Kirk assassination. It's not like all of the conspiracies around it, while it is suspect and there were tons of valid concerns, it creates this chaotic chatter to take away from the message itself.
I mean, come on, guys. I'm pretty sure you can do better. And here's the funny thing is, we actually have a real shady past.
We don't have a real shady
No,
past.
for Utah, we have a real shady past. I'm pretty sure you guys can stop being so lazy and do some real research and come up with something at least with some level of but this is
not
garbage.
Like an actual challenge. So.
No, it's not. But this
again. Let's focus on the real
this is the
here.
point. But this is the point. We know this is coming. I know the cost. The cost of standing and fighting this evil, you do not get to stand and fight a fight like this without paying a price. Mm-hmm. And we know what they will not do is try, or they'll take down the channel, do something. They don't want to create a martyr because that only fires you guys up more. So what is the best way to get you guys to shut up? Destroy our credibility. And the fact of the matter is there is a cost associated with what we are doing. There has been a very high price we have paid. We are paying a lawsuit. I deal with a wife the reason she's not here half the time is because of the anxiety, because of what the burden this is.
And we work full-time jobs.
And we both work full-time jobs. And by the way, your donations, I do want you to know this. Where do they go? They go to paying our lawsuit and to marketing. And, we both still work. We're not here to make money off this thing. We are here to fight. And and I can promise you this, we would sure rather go back to Florida.
Oh, please. Yeah.
We do not do this because it's fun. We don't do it because somehow we're getting popular. We are doing it because it's the right thing to do and because there are victims and survivors who have been trampled on for years. And nobody is giving them a voice. Nobody is standing up for them. And quite frankly, if we do not do this, if we walk away, we'll be held accountable by God. And so, yes, we are here. Yes, we know that what's coming, and we will not be surprised when the big defamation, when the big things come. And we're walking into that knowingly, and we're walking to whatever price we have to pay because you don't get to make a difference in this world without paying a price. So, to you guys, pushing out, peddling this trash, good on you. You know what I mean? If that's what you got, good on you.
But we're open books too. If you ever have a question about anything, info@wearethepeople. If you have a survivor or a memory, abuse@wearethepeople.org. We're not trying to hide anything here. We're trying to put this all in plain sight so you can make the determinations, whether it's a survivor story or a connection, a news story, a trial, whatever it might be. So we're going to just continue doing that.
So we'll keep doing this, but I'll tell you this, it's not our fight. And if and when we get taken out, God won't be stopped. And I will tell you, God has seen enough of the pain, of the suffering of these children, and he doesn't need us to do it. But while we're here, we'll do our part. And I know many of you are going to stand up and start fighting this fight with us and with him. So I hope we answered your questions. We will try to do this on a semi-regular basis as we see comments in there because it's important that you guys feel heard and that you understand this. And we will continue to have more survivors come on and share their stories until this beast is fully exposed and we the people take them down. Thank you, baby. Thank you, guys. And to our researchers and our team behind the scenes that none of you know, that don't get appreciation, thank you. Because you guys see us up here, but we are just the face of it, and the real work happens behind the scenes. And so just very thankful to our team, and especially all you survivors who have come on and put so much at risk. And I know many of you who've been threatened since then and been harassed, and your life's been very difficult since you've come on. Thank you for laying the groundwork for so many other survivors.
And just one last thing to add. We have a very, very long road ahead of us with this lawsuit. We're just now getting into disclosures and discovery. So we really appreciate the people that have helped us financially or just sharing some of these videos and content. We really do appreciate it. If you want to donate and continue helping us create this content, and with our legal fees, you can do it on the website at wearethepeople.org, supporting the water company that we're partnering with at wearethepeople.org/wellness. Or if you have any apprehension about donating, you can also donate directly to our legal fund or our legal team, so that you know exactly where your money is going to. So plenty of avenues to get involved and to know where your money and your support is going.
And the other thing you can do is obviously prayer. Probably the most powerful thing, because in the end, the only way any of us survive this fight is with him. So anyways, thank you guys, and thank you.
Most filters only strip out contaminants, and they do it poorly. Sentry removes toxins at a deeper level and adds back minerals. 75% of customers feel the difference in just 2 weeks. Install your Sentry Wellness System in just 30 minutes and enjoy water that fuels your life. Learn more at SentryH2O.com.